Greetings to you all, brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure for me to present this program tonight. My name is Créoléphant Maurice, and I'm presenting this program on behalf of Grande École Philosophie, which simply means the Great School of Philosophy. The song you just heard is from an artist of Diego Garcia, the Chagos Archipelago, called Pays Natal, which means native land. She sings her happiness on the island where she was born and her sufferings on the land of Mauritius. She sings how at one point when she stood up with some of her countrymen and women, the Sagosians, and claim their rights for a better life, they were beaten up by the police with batons and suffered much misery from the police force of Mauritius. Mrs. Charlesia Alexis was the very first woman who stood up against this forced expulsion from their native land. She was the very first one, and when she was beaten up, the Prime Minister at that time was this man. Sir Arnaud Jugnot. The very same man who stood up at the International Court of Justice and claimed Diego Garcia back. I know what people might say, that sometimes people change. They have one thought today, the next day, or years later, wisdom teaches them to behave appropriately. We are now in November 2018, a few months after the speech from this Prime Minister at that time, now Ministre Manta. This song, Pays Natal, is forbidden in Mauritius. People from Mauritius cannot access YouTube and listen to that song. Yes, brothers and sisters, that's the situation. But we won't go into, why he does that in detail, but simply it's for him to put up a facade that he is a good man, and he has sweet talks, to you, brothers and sisters, to you, pretending he is for the cause of Africa. Mauritius has been independent for 50 years, half a century. And during this time, our people, we Africans, we've been too submissive for far too long. And whoever has been the Prime Minister has been somebody else. And they have never worked for the prosperity of our people. And the conditions that we live now are really a situation where we are second-class citizens on the land of Africa. This whole thing is a problem that we have described as being INDIAPARTHEID. It is a system where one class of people dominate all the others. Very simple. Dominate all the others. And do it in such a way that they look good, but in fact they are stabbing you right through in the back. We've come to the point in Mauritius today to understand all those dynamics, and we can say now with assertiveness that we do have an invisible cultural genocide. History books don't have the correct, the right, the true history, and children are learning things that are untrue. For example, another situation where we do have this invisible cultural genocide is through the Festival Creole, which is being celebrated, and that's worldwide, and that's a situation where we cannot, like any other ethnic in Mauritius, prepare our festival, put it to the government, and the government funds it. We can't do that. It's the government who decide who and how this whole festival is going to be run. And most people who run this festival and who decide are non-Creoles. They are all from one ethnic, which is the Indo-Mauritian people. There are things that we can accept. We can accept, but it comes to a point, as you know, where enough is enough. Enough is enough. And that's why we stand today and want to talk to you. Because The main reason of this program is to alert you of our situation and then to seek your support. A lot of things is said about Creoles. A lot of things, is misunderstanding. And one of them, again, which is circulated around in the educational system, in the teaching of history, is that we, Creoles of Mauritius and the other islands, we've been uprooted from Africa. Basically, we are separate from you, brothers, and you, sisters, because they had at some point in our history been slavery. Yes, the diaspora exists. I agree to that. There is an African diaspora. But it exists in America, the Afro-Americans. It exists in South America, the Afro-South Americans. It exists in the islands of the Caribbeans. Anybody who travels there see them and know they are from their ancestors were from Africa, brought to those places because of slavery. But the difference, now we know, is that we have never been uprooted from Africa. The reason is simple, very simple, so simple that it's overlooked. Because we are still in Africa. Wherever we are, Madagascar, Seychelles, Mauritius, Rodrigue, Réunion Island, or even Cape Verde, we are on the African continental plateau. And by such, we are natives of Africa. Transferred, yes, from one location to another, but not uprooted. This flew from our ancestors who were moved from one part of Africa to the island of Mauritius or Réunion, when they had children, they still had children on African land. We have not been uprooted because there has not been any disconnection between us and our brothers and sisters. That means you. This is probably one of the most important things to understand. I know if I carry on talking and talking, I could go on for hours. This is our first program, and we want to achieve our objectives very simply. We want you, as I said before, to understand to understand that you are not talking to someone who is foreign, who is alien to Africa, because I am African, born in Africa, and Mauritius is Africa. This brings us to the very essence, to the core of the Agenda 2063 in building an African nation. And that's why we are present in the African world today, and we are here to stay, and we are here to talk the talk and to walk the walk. Whatever it takes, we are not giving up. We cannot live in this system where we are second-class citizens, we are an underclass citizen. Enough is enough. And we need your support, brothers and sisters. We do need you. For years and years and years, we haven't had the opportunity to talk to you and to ask for your help. But today, things have changed. Through ignorance, perhaps, through being too submissive, perhaps, whatever the reasons were, that's the past. Now we look ahead. We want to be full participants to the Agenda 2063. We are here. You count on us, and we count on you. We are hands in hands. What we need is simple. We would go into those requests one by one in detail at some other point, but for tonight, for the purpose of this first contact, we will give you a list of four things, 4 points that we need. First of all, we need recognition from the continent. That means from you, brothers and sisters, any part, from north to south, from east to west of Africa, Central Africa. We need recognition that Creoles are Africans. From African families, from African communities, from African tribes, and they are born on African land, and therefore are protected under the African rule and its continent. The second point I would like to share with you, again, we would like you to come public as we are today, and recognize that Creoles are an African tribe located in Mauritius, Seychelles, Madagascar, Réunion. We have our own culture. Musically, it's very much inspired from African music. We have our own language. All these are survival tools to resist slavery. And we should see slavery not a social condition and system where forever and ever we will say, oh, this happened to us. No. It's a system that we overcame somehow psychologically. Sorry. And radical philosophy is happy to say that we are looking at the future where we'll be one with you brothers and you sisters to bring back the splendor of pure Africans, to bring back wisdom, to bring back peace all over its land. What allows INDIAPARTHEID in Mauritius to progress and continue to perpetuate its dominance? It is a clause in our constitution which is called the first schedule, section 4, which classifies people in terms of their religion. And the two religions that are described and named clearly are Hindus and Muslims. And all other citizens, they are the general population. We want you to stand by us, stand with us, to make it known that this first schedule, section 4 of the Constitution of Mauritius needs to be repealed and replaced by the definition of Creole that we, when I mean we, I mean radical philosophy has put up. Not a definition by the others, by INDIAPARTHEID. No, because they will always try to bring us down. We know who we are. We know. We've been in this country for very, very long. Before they arrived from British India, we already had our language. We already had our culture all over the islands. So they are not the ones who will tell us who we are. We know who we are. We are Africans. And lastly, we need your support. And we will also, as I said earlier, offer our support to everyone who will contribute to that, for this nation building of Africa. It's not, as some people may argue, that the decolonization of Mauritius, which is the necessary step to gain full freedom and independence. No. We in Grande École Philosophie, we believe and aim for Africanization. And that's the step forward. And that's where we need you, brothers. We need you. We really need you. Things are bad. Very bad over the island. I told you about Mrs. Charlesia Alexis. We should be, crowned for in the whole struggle of the Chagossiens. But she's blocked. Many things other than that happen in terms of employment, in terms of sharing the benefits, the wealth of the nation. It goes to certain ethnic groups at the expense of us. And who worked the hardest? Who worked the hardest on this land? Brothers, sisters, I won't take more of your time tonight. But what I would say, I hope that I've been able to alert you and bring a new perspective of Mauritius. A new angle on things, on this society with beautiful beaches and hotels and scenery, landscape, but then the dark side, INDIAPARTHEID. I know you brothers and sisters, you never move away from injustice. especially if it comes from other people who disguise themselves as lambs, but in fact are wolves. I expect that those who watch this program get in touch with us. We can talk. We can talk. We can show you. You can meet other people. And even verify what we are saying tonight. I would ask you all to share this video to as much people you can in your network, and what we expect is to see our brothers and sisters on our side. We can shift the whole destiny to a fairer society in Mauritius. As you can see up here, for those who understand French, they could probably translate what is written there in Creole. It only means we move for universal norms in a wider society. For now, as Creole, we are not part of it, because for the last 50 years since independence, the different governments have purely and simply blocked us. We'll have a website set up. You will have our email address. You can Skype us, WhatsApp us, everything to communicate with us. No problem. We'll always have someone prepared and ready to talk to you. For tonight, brothers and sisters, let me say goodbye, and we can have another chat very soon. Thank you all. Thank you.